Well, howdy, how's it going? We're baking cookies right now. Thought I would come on, say hello to YouTube for a second. Hey, what's up, Buffalo? Oh no, don't brush that. Hi, hello with you, kitty. Hi, little one. Hi, Buffalo. Little kitty, she just came to say hi and then took off. Yeah, oatmeal chocolate chip with like a little teeny amount of peanut butter. Hey, what's up, Megan? It's a little different than it's different than the TikTok lives, but you know, you can get quite a bit of people can come in here too. Oh, I've never done that. Oh, look, more people. Hey, everybody. There's certain people that remember their screen name, and then when they don't come anymore or I don't see them, it's like, hey, you miss little icons. It's like, oh, where'd everybody go? TikTok's fun. Like TikTok feels like Las Vegas or something. You know what I mean? Like the live streams, like I always want to go on a live and do like ones where they're debating or talking and just interact, but I try to request, but people don't add me. Like there's one today, I don't know, they were talking consciousness, spirituality. But YouTube's been cool too. YouTube just feels a little less connected. It's like, Megan Renzel. Wow, YouTube or TikTok feels like being in Vegas or something. Like there's just something going on. Like when you go through the lives, it's like you're seeing all these little different spaces and environments, and it's kind of neat. I like that experience. It's more immersive. I really like TikTok. The only thing about it is the community guidelines are very harsh. So, I could just be doing a live and then it'll get canceled or I'll get blocked. And I lost my account for a while, where I got too many live stream suspensions and then they blocked me. I thought I was lucky I didn't lose the account altogether. But right now it's like I think that I'm still kind of in a shadow ban, which shadow ban just means like they don't promote your content, so the videos don't get as much views. But if I can, I got a suspension again. I think I've had a week now where it's been back or something, or a few days at least. So the 23rd. I just have to be careful. The guidelines, I understand it. I just think that like these things are more for the audience, meaning like, the audience is the priority, because the audience is the revenue, so I don't, the one thing that's problematic is online trolling, so I think that most of the bans probably come from the artificial intelligence. Maybe not the reporting, but people can report you, So that's what they do. Trolls will come in there and they'll just report, and then you can get canceled. So Yeah, it's cool. I would just say, like, I just used to really bother me because I thought it was people, you know, and I thought like, well, you know, if I keep getting trolls, it's like, you know, I thought, you know, it's really insensitive. I would think that maybe people that didn't have an audience or didn't make content maybe shouldn't have so much weight, you know, because they could just report and do things, but they don't have any, they have nothing to lose, you know, like you would think. But I understand why it's that way. They're trying to keep it, you know, under control. So there's words you can't say. Like I don't think you can say words like sex and things. Like I think one time I was joking. Somebody asked me a question, and I was talking, and I made some joke about, I don't know, something, and like I was joking about, like if I made, someone was like, well, what if your ex had taken, you know, like pictures or videos of you, almost like then I would be putting that up on like, you know, Pornhub or something. I made some joke and then I think I got banned for that. It's like, what do I care? You know, I'm like, I just monetize it. Like, say whatever you're gonna say. You know, like, you gotta be careful. I think the artificial intelligence, like, I can't say very disparaging things. Like if I'm joking around, like one time I was making jokes and I don't know what, I don't know, I was just trying to be funny and then I just got shut down. I was like, oh no. I've had that happen so many times. Like I mean, it's at least 20 times, I think. Like I've been banned so many times just from live streaming. Like, so I got shell shocked. Narc on super empath love combination. Yeah, I don't think it would suck, man. The ban. Oh, did you know? I got a wonderful text too. Yeah, I used to get those, but like from these people that I used to work around, and they were trying to do a number on me, man. Like when I didn't understand why they would say these crazy things. Trying to mess with my mental health, you know, like it was sick. I'm worried about you, you know, and it's irritating, you know, like somebody that was doing all that crazy stuff and then they're worried about you, you know. No, they're not worried about you. Sick people. Yeah, never mind. It's like gross. I got a text message. My mom, she just blocked the gentleman that she was talking to. It's funny. And so he messaged me, you know, like, cute. Hey, are you okay? Hey, what's up, Cloud Trapper? I think you just said like a comment, like you're the female version of me, right? Is that right? Is that what I think it's you. Hey, what's up? Ooh, I gotta go check the cookies. You guys hang out, okay? All right, I'm back. Hey, everybody. Cape Cod. Just reading through. Oh, wow. So what was that like? 18 years, man. 18, 18 years. These turned out perfect. If I take them when they're still hot, then they fall apart. But if they cool, then they're perfect. So a male vulnerable narc, I mean, that's basically it. Sort of like having a child. Did he function well? Did he have a career? Did he, like, what was that like? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Hey, Esmeralda. So you supported his dreams. Was he, you know, and some of them can be talented. Was he good at what he did? Yeah, it sucks. But you had to support him. It's such a burden. They make you completely responsible. Yeah, I've met some that they can have they can have skills. They can be really good, and that's what will make it confusing. Because they sabotage themselves profoundly. How's he doing now? Did he fall apart? In your house. Are you gonna get him out? Not to do it. Don't present him with papers until you're out of the house. So kingdom, yeah, you don't. I wouldn't present him with papers until Divorce papers. I'm talking to kingdom over culture. My advice is that you make sure you have somewhere to go. Like, why would you present him with papers, he's going to make your life miserable. It's going to be dangerous. And so I would not present him with divorce papers until you are safely out of the house, you're somewhere else, like all your business is handled to where you don't have to deal with them. Like, what are you going to do? Live together, while you're trying to divorce him? That'd be a big mistake. Definitely, I wouldn't do it. Well, I'm just saying it's about your well-being, so it's about like you have somewhere else to go. You're not going with him, so, right? I'm talking to another lady, kingdom over culture. Can't wait too much longer. We're stationed in Hawaii and our time at station is almost over. Oh, well, are you on station? Like, are you in a military base? Maybe you can get help too. Because you need to be able to not live with him. You can't present him papers and then be stuck for weeks or whatever while he, abuses you or does something. I don't know anything about that. Oh, what Esmeralda? Yeah, I don't know about. It wouldn't be from medical narc abuse because you would have to if you could get a diagnosis like CPTSD, but narc abuse isn't a diagnosis. So, you know, if you had a disability, get a diagnosis and then just see if that would apply, CPTSD or something like that. That would make sense. But narc abuse, I wouldn't say that would probably not even be something you could put on a form. No, I don't think you could call it narc abuse. There's no such thing. Like, that's not a diagnosis. That's like, can I get on disability from being yelled at? Or, you know what I mean? So it's more like the outcome, right? No, it's just that, what it is that, people experience their narcissist in a particular way. And, if they file for divorce, they don't have any idea what can happen. Somebody, they have a way of acting that you're used to, but when they get injured or worse, their behavior can change very abruptly. so they can become more psychotic than you've ever experienced and dangerous. And so, it's just being aware that they don't respond like a normal person would. So if you file for divorce and you don't have somewhere to go, or you're not safe, or you haven't prepared, it's like some people just do it and they're not aware of what might happen. Yeah. Well, is he violent, Kingdom? Does he get violent with you? Has he been a physical threat to you before? But even if he's not a physical, like, the thing about it is that you don't know what they can be when you file for a divorce. They could become homicidal even. So you don't know what could happen. Because it's unpredictable, because they may enter a psychosis, like you don't know exactly what to expect. That's what I'm telling people. Even if you've been with this person for a long time, it could just be a severe enough injury that would make them behave in a way that might be unrecognizable to you. It's unpredictable, that's all. So you just have to understand that it's not a normal breakup, and it's not a normal emotional response from somebody that's mad or just heartbroken. No, they can be psychotic and dangerous. So, I think a lot of people find that out the hard way, because as bad as it's been, that would warrant a divorce. When you file for divorce, it could be unpredictable.
Breaking news tonight: a mass shooter in a Dollar General store in Florida. Multiple people dead. A gunman opens fire in Jacksonville, shooting those inside. The mayor confirming there are multiple fatalities. The powerful moment.
It's just more about the unpredictability. Yeah, well, that's already a physical, that's severe enough, like where he has just no respect or regard for your well-being, at all. So that's violent to me. That's dangerous. Well, if his behavior warrants going to jail, then that's his problem. But I'm just saying, you know, well, I just gave you my advice, so people are just giving you advice. I'm saying you need to think about how your safety can be affected and what the logistics are. How long are you going to have to stay in the same house with him, right? That's not going to be a very viable option for you. So I would plan on moving away when you divorce. That's my personal perspective. Trying to coexist and be in the same house as him after you file for divorce is just not a good idea. You know, it isn't a good idea. You know, it's just really not a good idea. It'll be a nightmare. So, you know, I would consider that. That's all. So, I mean, you know, really just be concerned about your safety, you know, if that makes sense. And do you have children? I would. No, I mean, I just, the main thing is removing yourself from the person. The filing is like a formality, like you're trying to get out of a relationship. So what good does filing the paperwork do? Okay, because you're trying to get away from abuse, and you're going to do something that's going to be likely substantially disruptive emotionally. Like you're gonna put a grenade off in the house, and so you don't want to be stuck there with him after you do that. You got to make sure that you understand the implications. This isn't to prove a point. This isn't to show him you're serious. The only thing you're attempting to do is to end the relationship. And filing for divorce is like, far less important than your physical safety. The implications of being in the relationship with him all just have to do with your mental health, your physical health. And so that's why you're ending the relationship. The divorce, to me, it's not as important as you are. Like this isn't a symbolic gesture. So you don't need to me, I would prioritize you before the paperwork, and just know that it can go really badly. You just have to be realistic. That would be realistic, is that he's going to react in a way that would be more angry, potentially, than you've ever witnessed him before. And it could be unpredictable. He could be dangerous. I don't know. Some of them are, a lot of them are. So I would just say, make sure your physical well-being is priority one, your safety. Well, can you get yourself somewhere else to go first? Safety's the only priority. This isn't an emotional thing. This isn't a symbolic thing. This isn't to wake-up call, right? So there's no benefit to filing before you can leave, because you'll be a prisoner. You'll be in a nightmare, the worst nightmare. I mean, you're gonna file. How are you gonna sleep that night? You have to think about that. Like the filing is just throwing a grenade in the house. Like, do you already sleep? I mean, how are you can't, right? So see, that's what I'm saying. You don't have anywhere to go. Like you don't have enough to go anywhere. So why would you file? Does that make sense? Like, how are you think it's going to be easier after you file to get the money? Like you share accounts. Do you even have your own account? Like, you have to think about that. He could strongly inhibit every action that you try to take. And then he's got you there under his control. And you'll be being gaslit, abused like no other. And so there's no need to expose yourself to that. You're not like, you need to get ready to leave. Like, it's almost like filing is way premature over your safety. Like you could leave and file later, So there's no Look, I'm already telling you what I'm telling you. There's nothing to argue about. There's no benefit to filing and living with them. That's a dangerous thing. It doesn't make any sense. What's the rush? Your safety in getting out of the relationship is the purpose. The rest is paperwork that is what it is, right? So if you do something like file and you're not even ready to leave, then how's that going to work for you? It doesn't sound like a good idea. Okay, got it. it's just, you know, because I get these kind of questions, you know, like I've had somebody one time make just a comment. I repeat this, but she was like, I'm gonna go home and ask him for a divorce tonight. And I'm like, ask him for divorce? No, don't do that. And then she was kind of arguing, well, you know, I deserve to be able. It's like, it's not about how you feel. You know, like you're not dealing with the real person or a normal person. Like it's, you know, it's really about your safety and your mental health. Like this is a choice for your life, you know, and it isn't going to go very good. You know, like you know, as bad as they can be, they can change dramatically. You guys keep chatting. I'll be right back. How much of a nightmare did is my mom in here? Did you eat any cookies? How much was the nightmare with Dad being separated? How long was that? How long was he horrible for? Yeah, my dad was thrown into a rage. Look at now. See, when I take the cookies early, they fall apart. But then when they cool down, then they get solid. So it's like, love making cookies. They're so good. I'm gonna get one more. Okay, see? It's like a oatmeal chocolate chip, but I put put peanut butter in there too. I wouldn't. No. I mean, I wouldn't. Talking about a year ago, I would just leave them alone and not go no contact with them. Do you live together or something? Now I would just leave it alone. You know, the least involved you can be would be better. Don't give them any more contact or time. I don't know. I don't know what the getting him arrested or something would help with the stuff, you know. But see if you can get help getting his stuff out. I'm gonna move this over here. Oh, let's put the feet up. Okay, there we go. All right. What stuff does he have? I'm really sorry for everybody that has to deal with these people. You know, I talk about it every day. I never could have pictured that I would be talking about a mental illness online. Like, it's incredibly ridiculous. You know, the reality is that our world would be completely different without these people. That human nature has been completely demented by the presence of these people because they're corruptive to individuals. Like you know, the amount of suffering that people experience as a result of being raised by, in relationships with, working with these people cannot be measured. That there's people whose entire lives have given up on themselves. That people without awareness, that have no, you know, access or can communicate. I mean, how many untold lives were cut short, or just how much potential has been damaged and destroyed? You know, people's relationship to themselves, you know, unable to be retrieved. And so when you think about that and then you just expand it generation, and then you think about, you know, the influence on culture, you know, these people have distorted what we think human nature is. That without an intervention for humanity, we are going to destroy the planet. There's no doubt. We will deforest the earth. We will continue to see species become extinct. We will continue to pollute. We will destroy the waters. You know, we will continue that. It will go unmitigated, you know, if up to these people. And the people that aspire towards leadership today, it's not just, we don't have corruption, we have pathology. We call it corruption. It's no, it's it's not even a moral thing for me. There's no morality needing to apply. Like I used to have morality when it came to people. The reality of it is that those people are not capable of morality. They're not immoral because they couldn't be moral. Yeah, there's no choice. The accountability is just not meaningful. They're fundamentally flawed, and the way they think, the way they experience reality, it couldn't be more different. As far as I'm concerned, narcissists are a subspecies. They're a different species, and the main problem is that this planet culturally is becoming less inhabitable for people without these psychopathies. That, somebody taking like me 40, 43, 44 years just to kind of figure myself out, having to unwind the damage, unwind and unpack and become self-aware just to function, just to have a chance of like any measure of fulfillment in my life, and then you magnify that. It could be 100 million people in America that have gone through this without knowing it. But in some way, they're scarred by it. They're resigned as a result. People have resignation about humanity because of these people. That you don't trust anybody. You don't trust institutions. You don't trust corporations. You don't trust other countries. You don't trust different. And we have not accurately articulated the fact that most of the things that we complain about, or at least things that we think are issues that we could attribute to different groups, like you could say racism and white people. Well, the reality is that there's people with these types of afflictions, and they are the most responsible parties for the vast majority of the things that we don't like today. From pedophilia to school shootings, serial killers, governmental corruption, exploitation of people, slavery, multinational corporations that are cash cropping, South America and providing corruptive influence over the economies of other places. And then we complain about immigration in the United States when the economic disparities are maintained willfully and intentionally for the purpose of exploiting for resources, or making it cheaper to make hamburgers and coffee and bananas at the expense of the local indigenous peoples. And so we're directly responsible for propagating the issues that result in an influx of immigrants that we would then demonize and dehumanize and scapegoat socially, that we're going to blame people wanting to come here and say that has something to do with their own economic challenges, when it doesn't. And so, living in a world where we have no problem funding greed and materialism with the future. We're going to sell the future out for today and then just have everybody pay for it with interest, and just create infinite inflation forever, where people buy. And I was thinking about like transportation. I love cars, and I'm like, people are spending $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 to get a truck, and then they're going to drive that to work, and it's like, what percentage of their income is just going to the car payment, insurance, and fuel, and then maintenance? It's like, there goes, a few days a week of work just to get to work. Then you're just going to work so you could have a shelter, so you could sleep, and then you can go back to work. And so people are working just to be able to work. And then they got to pay for all the stuff that they need to be able to work. And it's getting harder and harder without even questioning it. We're evolving to it. Women, pushed into the labor because households are less sustainable on single incomes because of unchecked inflation, unmitigated inflation. And it's just because of the systems. Like, we want to be able to give people access to money so that we can sell them stuff. So we keep finding new ways to loan money and the majority of the material prosperity, at least in the United States, is because of credit markets. It's artificially exaggerated demand, an insatiable demand for material consumption and entertainment and eating just for the assertion of identities and becoming a better person or something. And it's an unnatural way to live. It's causing mental health problems for people. That people shouldn't be pushed to the brink to where they're a few months away from being homeless. Like, they couldn't make it if they lost a job or something. And our societies are so callous about that. We talk about freedom, but that's not even a choice. That your participation is not even questioned. And then to take the privilege of education, or the I would almost say an entitlement, that education's a responsibility. It's part of developing people. It's what makes us human in a way. And to have it transformed into something that's merely about developing people's economic relevance, and that's the primary motivator for people to participate in developing their mind, is just to try to figure out a way to improve the quality of their life in a very competitive world. And then what are you competing for? More? More. That's what we're competing for. More. It's just more, just want more. Better. More. Best. And so it is just the truth that it's not viable that way. Now, that's not something to necessarily fear, but it's just true nonetheless, that it is true that it is not sustainable like that. But why defer the confrontation of that inevitable reality to some other time where mitigating it becomes greater, difficulty? I just think that we're due for another social adjustment, meaning that there's been these transformational figures in our history, and there's very few people that are most responsible for modern life. But really, the way there's this mass consumerism as a way to exist, it's cool, I guess, but there's many things I love about my life, or love about life in general. So it's not to complain, but it's to acknowledge the obvious futility of it, or the complete, irreconcilable unsustainability. That there's a certain vulnerability because the energy consumption per person based on the structure of modern life is just too far out of balance with the ecosystem of the world, that we're producing too many things that the world does not have the capacity to deal with. And we would have to be responsible for that. That I would want to create balance with respect to the generation of toxic materials or plastics and things, just as a known requirement, that it has to be addressed. See, I would make it such that if you want to make plastic bottles, that's fine, but you have to recycle it an equal amount, meaning that we need the infrastructure to just be able to responsibly process product. That it's not a tree hugging, you know, silly thing. It's just what's responsible. Like, you know, you're gonna produce tons of plastic every day with no concern about where it goes. You know, how are you, you know, like you just keep producing things that have no way of being processed naturally. So it's like that just seems ridiculous. Like it's convenient, sure, it reduces the economic cost of producing bottles, you know, but it has a problematic outcome. Like it's, you know, you can't slow it down. Like if you said let's slow down plastic, well, you're just delaying when we can't make any more because we don't have anywhere else to put it. It's just the whole ocean's covered. You know, like is that, because it doesn't biodegrade. So it's just, to me it's math. It's like, you know, we have a bunch of green ideas that are just to satisfy the concerns of people. You know, like there's a green market, and we talk about all these things, but it just has to be, for life as we know it to be sustainable, there just has to be adjustments to the way that we do it, you know? And I think we just need to take pressure off of people. That there's something fundamentally problematic because human beings weren't designed for it. These people weren't designed to do this. So it's not bad. It's just recognizing the need for contextual changes in terms of how people experience participating in life and what's important to people in general. That we're seeing the outcome of just, you know, raising people to be consumers and competitors. Okay? You're seeing that in terms of people's mental health. You're seeing that in terms of people's general satisfaction and the pressures. And it just seems like life has so much more tension and anxiety and so much more, you know, palpable concern that I think people live with the generalized angst about the future now. I don't know if it's always been that way. You know, the just sort of a discomfort, an uncertainty, an insecurity about just the future. Then you look at what's kind of happening in general in the world. You look at the politics of the world, and it just seems like it's unnecessarily you know, unnecessarily anxious, you know. But I just think it has a lot to do with these types of people. That to me, their influence on culture and on society is substantial. Substantial. like, whenever if you were to think about human nature, it's like you can't, you have to consider everything and the darkness of it. And the good, there's the good too, obviously, but it's just when you describe human nature, it's like you're including the psychopathy of narcissism. Like, it's almost as if that's like predominantly expressed. And it explains a lot of things in history. I think it's so ingrained in just the mentality of colonialism in general, that like, what's the mentality of people that would go to a continent and commit genocide, and while doing so, bringing human slaves and trafficking them to the other continent to do the labor for free, like, there's a certain mentality to that. A lack of humanity, entitlement, rage that, is just always been there. You think about these dictators throughout our recent history, even current. And, people wonder, well, how does Hitler do that? Well, you could see, to me, I look at it as simple as what happens when you put a sociopath or malignant narcissist and give them a microphone in any country, and you're going to have all the covert narcissists and other people pop out of the woodwork. You just give them a new mask with propaganda. You give them a group to belong to. You give them who to hate. And they will change their whole reality around, and they will be unquestioned, completely, loyal to the identity you give them. And you can tell them anything, and they'll go for it. It doesn't matter. You can tell them the election is stolen, or you can tell them that we need to execute the final solution, and they'll say, absolutely, yeah. And they'll be so-called good people, because many of them would just have been normal until they listened to till they listened to the speech. It's just like people I know would seem normal, and then they watch a YouTube video and now they're a flat earther. Just like that. Or they believe the president is fighting pedophilia. Really believe it. Like, there's certain types of people that can change their identity and adopt something and then feel superior, feel like they belong. That's the kind of mentality it applies to. The victim. The fearful, rage-filled victim. And those types of mentalities have always been here, and in many ways been leading the charge. In many ways, most responsible for a lot of the horrendous things we've watched and witnessed. And our last president was most certainly not the first narcissist, and will not be the last. And he's just a little lower functioning and more malignant. But the things that I've witnessed, like in my little lifetime, and just listened to the talking and the nonsense, it's like engineering the world to be more dangerous for no reason. Like, another things we've done to intervene in these other areas of the world have done anything but damage the world in a irreconcilable way and made it more dangerous for people. It lacks integrity, it lacks responsibility, it lacks dignity and humanity, to do this to other people for no reason. So it just seems that there has to be a different way of considering what leadership is. That people have to be uniquely concerned about the welfare of humans. You just have to be, it has to be at the forefront. the concern about the welfare of people is not going to ever be a side effect of thinking that doesn't take it into consideration. That it just has to be the context itself. That if we're going to be making decisions about what's good for things, it has to be about what's good for them. And no bullshit. Like, just no bullshit. So it's just more about people, the way that they think, the way that they address and experience, their own lives, and that what they imagine their purpose being. Like, what is it you're really here for? What kind of impact would you like to make? Not from a position of resignation, but just because that's just a natural expression of who you are. And if people are just naturally expressing their intent to do things that are good for other people, it isn't a big deal. It's just a mathematical thing. It's just having people reconsidering, what it's about. And they could be in any industry. It doesn't matter. So you can pursue whatever you want. And, to me, it's not necessarily about the system of government per se, but it's just about how we participate. How do we, do what we do? Because you can do it. It's not necessary to be an avoidance of concern about that stuff. Not for lip service or public relations purposes, but really figuring out a way to make it work. I think that what's most problematic to me is our economic system. Not just like for work or for, not just capitalism in general. I just mainly mean, it's like a big Titanic, just keep refinancing the government, and it's just runaway inflation forever, where it makes life more challenging, and where people are just burdened, by debt and cost of living that continues to seem to outpace, people's incomes in general. And it's just all out of whack, it's a weird thing to consider that in the United States, like, somebody could work in a factory and not be able to afford what the factory makes. Like, they couldn't buy those American-made goods and services because of inflation. And so that we're having to outsource the production of many things because the cost to produce it here is too high. And so while we would complain about the cost to produce it here and say wages this, wages that, yet the wages aren't high enough to be able to afford those same products. So it's like, we couldn't even, and so it's a weird thing. So it's just a weird balance. So modern life to me is strange. Like, I used to look at the big world and just think about traveling and going places and stuff, and it just seems like tense. It just occurs as tension. I don't know if other people feel that. It could just be me. But it just seems like that everything seems tense globally, like just tense. Maybe it's just the way it's always been. What did he say to you? What kind of threat? Does anybody else feel like that? I mean, now that you've kind of woken up to narcissists and shit, like when you watch the news, when you watch entertainment, when you listen to people talk, when you think about what's happening just generally in politics, like does it not just seem insane? Like you're just looking at, and you're the one that's been insane. I've been the insane one, and now I'm looking at everything like, wow. Like it truly appears like we have no idea what we're doing. Like we know we're doing, but just on a kind of a collective, broader scale. Like we just seem a little lost here, you know? Is that a movie? Koyan Sukwashi? What is that? What a sick man. Well, I don't know what it's like where you're from. Do they protect women very well there in these situations, or is there no way to avoid the danger? Where can you see the movie? I've been living so tired. Tired. When I was Esmeralda, I was curious about how you could keep yourself safe. Will your family be able to help you? Oh, cool. I'll look it up right now. What's the name? Let me look at that movie. See, I'm watching my. I'm gonna put it on. Like we worry so much about people. Like, okay, this crime was racially motivated. This one was a hate crime. It's like we just got like these are all the same types of people. They don't, like whatever the motive is, but it's the result of just pumping way too much. Okay, so what's the name of the movie? Let's see. Okay, put it on. Oh, it's Francis Ford Coppola. Is it a movie or is it a documentary? Hello. So I put the movie on. Well, I think I'll get off now. I don't see anybody here chatting with. Oh, wow. Oh, sorry, I could change the color of the lights. I didn't see that, Becca. What's up, little redhead? I don't know. You said thank you. I'm not sure. I'm looking. I didn't see what you wrote. Someone asked me to change the color of the lights in here. To what? What color would be better? This color I like just because it's like not as bright. That's a different color, right? Like, what could we do different, right? I could just have regular lights too, you know? Good night. It's too many colors, right? Red and green. This appears like a pretty old movie. Is it? Good night, everybody. I'm getting tired now.